the Charles in Charge Cowboys Sports Report. It is Saturday, December 2nd, about 7:28 Central Time, my time. If you're watching this video, that means it was a success. Sometimes it is hard to do live shows with a consistent audience whenever your show is still small. So if it's uploaded, that means, I had enough people jump into the chat to make a show, man. I got some fire to spit. I just need some Cowboy fans or trolls or whoever to jump in the chat and let's get down with it. If you have not subscribed and you're watching this, guys, I implore you. I know there's a dime a dozen of us out there. Only a few special ones, like your Law Nation or your Mark Holmes or your Mike Fisher. I like Rome also, Cowboys fan talk. The Charles in Charge Cowboy Sports Report will become one of the shows you look forward to watching on a consistent basis. I guarantee you that. First goal is to get to 500, and after that, hit 1,000. When they hit 1,000, the show will skyrocket. I guarantee you that. Been watching this team for 30 years, 30 seasons, been covering this team, played the game my entire youth, been a student of the game my entire life. We got Mike Reagan up in here. What's going on, Mike? Stay with me, my man. Usually around the 5 to 10 minute mark, people who are scrolling through YouTube start to catch on. If we can get just 3 or 4 guys in here, we can have a fire show. Because I got some fire to spit, that's for damn sure. This is titled State of the Union, before these next 4 games. And these next 4 games will define what kind of team we are going into the postseason. Whether we get the 1 seed, 2 seed, or 5 seed. Those are the 3 seeds that we will, get. It'll be one of those 3. It'll be the 5 is most likely. If not the 5, then the 1 or the 2. Because I know San Fran does have Baltimore. Week 17, and I believe it's in Baltimore. And I think the Ravens have the kind of team to beat a team like San Fran that could give them their 4th loss. I truly believe, especially for defense, stiffens up against tougher competition. Because excluding Arizona, what do you think is going to win? Oh, dude, I think San Fran is going to go into Philadelphia, Mike, and curb stomp the Eagles. Philly's been getting by the last 4 weeks. Just put the last 4 weeks into perspective. Been getting by the skin of their teeth. And they did that against Buffalo. Buffalo 6-6, just like Seattle, who we just got by the skin of our teeth. Seattle doesn't have as good a quarterback as Buffalo. Josh Allen is better than Geno Smith. Plus, Seattle has more offensive weapons than Buffalo does. The Bills have Stephon Diggs, yes, Gabe David, and rookie Dalton Kincaid. The running back is all right. I think Seattle's rookie running back, Charbonnet, is better. And they got DK Metcalf, who is A.J. Brown, basically, but faster. DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown basically the same size, but DK is a lot faster. And you got all-pro Tyler Lockett, and then you got the best receiver in the draft, Jackson Smith-Njigba. That's like the best receiving trio in the NFL. Then at tight end, you got 2 good tight ends. They're not great, they're not bad. You got Will Disley, and then you got Noah Fant. Not a bad, offense. I know their offensive line's been shuffling all season, but you still got, first round pick of last year, Charles Cross. You got Jason Peters, the right tackle, who's been out for a good while. I haven't really heard of the guy, but supposedly he solidifies that line. Came back in this game against the Cowboys after being out for a while, and it, made a difference. On defense, Seattle has 2 really good corners. Second round corner Tariq Woolen, 6'4", super fast, and then Devin Witherspoon, who was the best corner in the draft. So in the first round, the Seahawks got the best receiver and best corner, rated in the draft, and they're looking like it too. They still have Bobby Wagner in the middle. They still have Jared Reed and the other guys on the D line. They still have Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs at safety. The 4 games before they played us, they were just underperforming. They were in a slump. As teams get into a slump, like San Fran was in a slump for 3 weeks. Not having Debo, not having Trent didn't help, but they were just in a slump, and they got out of it. Now they're playing ball. The Eagles beat Washington, barely beat Washington, and this was at Washington, I believe. And then the Kansas City game, they beat Kansas City because KC drops 5-6 balls in that game. Scantling drops the the touchdown that would have put them ahead by 4. Philly would have had one more drive to try to answer with a touchdown, but KC's defense is playing pretty good this season. And then after that, Buffalo, blows their lead to go in overtime. I don't think the Eagles can stop that Niners offense whatsoever. Their secondary is so bad. They're 10-1. They remind me of the 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers, who started off 11-0, finished 12-4. Now, we need Philly to finish 13-4. We need to run the table. I predicted before the season started we'd go 14-3. I didn't see us losing at Arizona. That game right there, the San Fran game was just a total, blowout loss. Almost a blessing in disguise because that made us change the way we were calling the offense. Mike McCarthy, after that game, stopped coaching not to lose and started coaching to win. Stopped play calling conservative, started to get aggressive. But the Cardinals game and the Eagles game are 2 games we should not have lost. I know against Arizona we had our 4-star lineman out. Tyler Smith did play that game, but that was his first game ever at left guard in an NFL regular season game. So our offensive line was in shambles. We lost 16-28, but we got in the red zone 4 times in the second half and got a total of 9 points or something stupid like that. And that was the week that Diggs went down. Man, it still stings having Trayvon Diggs out for the season because we would have had the best cornerback trio in the NFL, no questions, hands down. Now, I've got 5 items I want to get into that are very critical for this next stretch of games that we're about to go into. And then, Philadelphia, at their own house, Washington takes them to overtime. You know what I mean? When Ron Rivera should have just went for 2-point conversion and just, went for the win when they tied it up at 38. Be aggressive right there in a situation like that. You don't want to go into overtime whenever you can just win the game right there with a mobile quarterback and Sam Howell. We play Washington, we blow them out of the water. So if San Fran beats Philadelphia, I don't care if it's by a point, then that gives us hope for the 1 seed because we have 10 days to prepare for Philly, as you know. It's like a mini bye week. It'll be at home. We've won 14 in a row at home. That's 4 shy of the record. 18 straight home wins was the record. Tom Landry, 79 at 1980, something like that. And I believe that we can beat Philadelphia at home. Dak Prescott can. Yes. Commanders almost beat Philly twice. Took them to overtime. Their first matchup in Philly, and then the second matchup at Washington, it was a tie game. They had a 14-point lead at one point. It was a tie game in the 4th quarter until Philly pulled away with a touchdown, and then Washington couldn't answer. Last year, Minnesota was 13-4, right? Looked really good all season. Only beat down they had was against us. We beat them 40-3. And Minnesota's beating winning teams, like Buffalo. They pulled out a big game against the Bills at the Bills, and the Bills were a better team last year. They were 13-4. 11 of their wins were 1-score wins, right? 1-score wins. and they were one and done in the playoffs. The Giants of all teams went to Minnesota and beat them. Philly is 10-1. 9 of their wins are one-score wins. That's not impressive to me. They're finding ways to win. Yeah, okay. But they're struggling against everybody. Bad teams, good teams, it doesn't matter. And their formula is not a formula that can sustain. Starting off slow, going to halftime, trailing, and then pull out the game late in the fourth quarter. That's not going to work against San Fran. San Fran usually gets a hot start, and they will keep their foot on the pedal. If they go into the fourth quarter, San Fran, it won't, and with a lead, it won't be a 10-point lead. It'll be a 3-score lead. And their defense will close out the Eagles, which will put the ball back in our court. And if we can beat Philly on December 10th at home, which I know we can, we did last year, sans Hurts, but Hurts will be in this one. The way that Dak is playing, he is number 3 right now in the MVP race, man. I've been his biggest critic since 2019 whenever he started to think highly of himself prematurely. But this season, it's like he's finally made that jump to be an elite quarterback. And with that Eagles' poor secondary, and as good as Dak Prescott is ascending this season, if San Fran knocks Philly off Sunday, which they're favored in that game, the Niners are favored going into Philly. They're favored by 3. Now, whenever you play at home, you get 3 points off the cuff automatically. So if they're favoring San Fran by 3, that means Vegas sees the Niners as a 6-point favorite, basically, because they're on the road, favored by 3. They knock off Philly, and we take care of our business, and we knock them off December 10th. We're both 10-3. And then we got to handle our business. Go to Buffalo, go to Miami, knock them down, take care of Detroit at home, which I think Detroit is the least of our worries between those. The hardest is going to be Miami because of their explosive offense. And then we have Washington to close the season. So San Fran knock off the Eagles, then it's our turn. If we take care of business, then we'll both be 10-3. And then we just got to win our last 4 games and hope to God that Philly stubs their toe on one of their games. And right after us, they have to go to Seattle to play the Seahawks. Seattle's going to be playing for the playoff lives at that point. They could be 6-7 at that stage because they have San Fran next. Now they have 10 days to prepare for the Niners. And if they come out and play the Niners and Eagles like they did us, they're going to give them a fight because Seattle has talent on both sides of the ball. They're a very good football team. A very good football team. Now, being that they're division rivals against the Niners, I don't think they're going to beat them. My hope is that the Ravens beat them and give the Niners their 4th loss of the season. But if Seattle could upset them, that'd be great. But if I had to choose, we want Seattle to upset Philadelphia. So if Philly's coming off back-to-back losses and they're starting to look exposed and they go to a wounded Seahawks team that is on they lost 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. They'd be losing 5 out of the last 6 games and having Philly coming into town if they lose against San Fran. And with that Philly secondary, Geno Smith, with that receiving trio has got to be the best in the league. Tell me a trio, not a duo, a trio that's better than what Seattle has. TK Metcalf is A.J. Brown, but faster. Big, strong, physical receiver, can dominate you at the line of scrimmage. Tyler Lockett has become an all-pro last few years, and JSN is a hell of a damn good rookie. Top-rated receiver coming out of the draft. So our biggest hope, if we take care of our business and beat Philly on December 10th, we have 10 days to prepare, as the Niners have had 10 days to prepare for Philly also. Eagles got beat up against Buffalo, guys. That game was a rough game for them. They got beat up, sore, bumps, bruises, all that. And now they're going to play that physical San Francisco football team. Since they traded for Chase Young, that reignited that defensive line that became dormant for some reason. Since they traded for Chase Young, Nick Bosa has 5 sacks. Javon Hargrave has 4. Eric Armstead has 5, I believe. Since that trade, and Chase Young has a few himself. So the biggest matchup between those two teams is that San Fran defensive line going against that Philly offensive line. Can Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, them older dudes with the younger ones, the Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Montiala, Matalata, block that 4-man front that San Fran is imposing with Chase Young, Hargrave, Armstead, and Bosa. I mean, that's the best front four in the NFL, hands down. That's better than Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, or it'd be Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Hassan Reddick, and Josh Sweat. It's better than that front four. That's a good front four right there too. But Philadelphia's secondary is just so bad that that's what's gonna nip them at the end. Since week 1 to now, it has not gotten better. Week 1, they played the Patriots. Mac Jones looked like Tom Brady. And if that rookie receiver would have got a second foot in bounds, they'd have had 1st and goal at the 8-yard line with like 30 seconds left to get in the end zone and win the game. Sam Howell, threw a party against him twice. Every quarterback that's not even that good, they make them look good. So I think Seattle could save our ass if we handle our business, and San Fran does too. Man, could you imagine getting a 1 seed? Last year we blew it because we blew the game against Green Bay and Jacksonville with 2 and 3 score 4th quarter leads. This season we kind of blew it by not winning at Philly when we had 6 yards. All we needed was 6 yards. 6 yards with 27 seconds left. Get 6 yards and you win the game. We didn't do it. And if we would have done that, just got those 6 yards, then we would both be 9-2 right now. No, 10. We'd both be 10-2. Both be 10-2. And then this game coming up against Philadelphia would be for sole possession of first place. But if San Fran beats them and then we beat them, we'll be 10-3. But they have the tiebreaker because they'll only have 2 NFC losses. We have 3. That's why we'll need them to drop 1 more game. And if it's against Seattle, that would be the best case scenario because it's an NFC team right there. But then we'd have to go to Buffalo. It's December. It could be snowing. Could be windy. Could be 30 mile per hour winds. The weather could be shit. It doesn't matter. We have to go up there. And that team is going to be fighting for their playoff lives. So they're going to be throwing the kitchen sink at us. We have to go to Buffalo, take care of business, and then go to the southern East Coast, to Miami, who was trying to get that 1 seed and try to slow down that crazy offense. So would you say we need the 49ers to win? Definitely. If the Niners don't beat Philly, then we're the 5 seed. We are the 5 seed. If San Fran goes into Philly and it's the same thing, they go into the 4th quarter with a 10-point lead and somehow the Eagles pull out the win and go to 11-1, then we're the 5 seed. Bottom line. It doesn't matter if we beat Philly December 10th. Philly's not losing against Seattle and then against either the Giants or Arizona. Ain't going to happen. They played the Giants twice. There's no way that even if they have a bad game, even if Jalen Hurts is hurt and they got Mariota at quarterback, Eagles are not losing to the Giants. They play them twice, sandwiched in, with Arizona in the middle. Maybe Kyler Murray could pull off, an upset game. You never know. Hollywood Brown, James Conner, even that is very doubtful. Our chances to be the 5 seed, like on my last video, is like 85% now. Since Philly didn't lose to KC or Buffalo. we were counting on them to lose to Kansas City. They didn't do that, so we were assuming they lose to KC and beat the Bills. They lost to Kansas City, so we're like, okay, Buffalo, y'all got to get this win, and they had it. In overtime, Gabe Davis runs corner route. Josh Allen throws him a post. It's like, what the hell, man? I mean, come on now, just y'all gotta be on the same. I mean, game would have been over right then and there. But no, they have settled for a field goal, and defense is gassed. Philly goes down, scores, and wins. If they would have lost one of those two non-conference games, then our chances would be a lot higher. But right now, I think chances for the 1 seed are about 15%. Now, if San Fran wins on Sunday, I'd say the chances for the 1 seed go up to 35%. And then if we beat Philly on December 10th, I think the chances for the 1 seed go up to like 45%. I'd say 45%. Because the Eagles have 4 games to stub the toe on one of them. And it can happen. It can happen. We've seen crazier stuff. But at the same time, flip side of that coin, we have to run the table. We have to finish 14-3. And even if San Fran wins out also, they have the tiebreaker over us, and they're 14-3, and get the 1 seed, and we were to get the 2 seed, I'm fine. I'm completely fine with the 2 seed. That is fine because you get guaranteed your first 2 games will be at home. You win the first one, then the second one, you're at home also. And the way we play at home, I mean, we average over 40 points a game at home this season. On the road, we're averaging 23. It's like night and day, home and road. It's crazy. Turf and grass. The way we play on turf is so much more better than we play on grass, and you wouldn't think that would make much of a difference, but it does. It trips me out sometimes. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you being in the chat. A few other people have jumped in here and there, but they jump in and jump right back out. I do not get it. And then last thing I was going to say, okay, so the 5 topics. Is DaRon Bland a concern going forward? What's your thoughts on that? After him looking like Trayvon Diggs Jr. most of the season, getting that 5th pick 6, breaking the record on Thanksgiving. 2 nights ago, getting torched by Geno Smith. I know they have top-notch receivers, but he's supposed to be a top-notch corner, defensive player of the month. He got targeted, 14 times at 13 completions, something like that, for 170 yards in the first. He led up the most yards in the first half of any cornerback. It was either this season or NFL history, one of the two. It's unprecedented. And he had a big personal pass interference penalty in the end zone. So do you think DaRon Bland is a concern going forward? What's your opinion on that? And I'll tell you mine. Do you think DaRon Bland is going to, since everybody saw how cooked he got, even though he got an interception, he still got cooked afterwards, after that pick? So do you think teams are going to start going at him? Or do you think that he's going to be able to stand up to the test and it was just an aberration, just a bad game? He's going to bounce back and be the DaRon Bland that we know that can lock down receivers like he's been doing most of the season. Do you have any thoughts on this matter? All right, we'll move on to point number 2. Can Dak keep up this MVP type play? Because this is his best season, hands down. Better than 2017. I know in 2018 he went on a great second half of the season run, going 7-1 when we got Amari Cooper. But that was still prime Zeke he had. And Zeke, the offense was still running through Elliott. Right now, Prescott is putting this offense and this team on his back and winning it. I thought maybe he will do better. Had a bad game. Okay, yeah, so you're not too concerned about DaRon Bland going forward, going against Philly, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, all who have good passing games. I don't think so either. I don't think Deron Bland, unless he has another game just like he did last night, if December 10th, if the Eagles throw at him 14 times and he lets up 150 yards and 2, 3 touchdowns, then I'm going to be very, very concerned that he just regressed big time. Other than that, he's a guy with a short memory, and I think he will bounce back and want to show that that game was an aberration and that it ain't going to happen like that again, that he is a premier cornerback. All right, number 2, can Dak keep up this type of play? He's number 3 in the MVP race. He put us on his back against Seattle. That's a game that we would have lost last season. We'd have lost in 2021, or we'd have lost earlier this year. Being down 8 points against a good team. Seattle's not a bad team. A good team with a good roster that's hot and hungry for the win, needed it more than we did. I think he can. I feel he has stepped up. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I feel like Dak has made a jump from being a good quarterback to being almost in the top stratosphere of quarterbacks. I think he is. We will see the next 4 weeks, but I think he has made that leap. Because I know before the Seattle game, it was Giants, Carolina, and Washington. I understand that. But against bad teams, you're supposed to blow them out. Philadelphia against bad teams, struggle against them. But against Seattle, we're down 8 points to start the second half. Seattle's first opening drive to start the third quarter. They go up by 8. We answer, cut it to 1. Deron Bland gets the interception, kind of redeems himself. We don't do nothing with it. We go 4th and 2. CeeDee Lamb drops the ball. It's like, damn, man. So they get the ball, they take it down the field and hit DK Metcalf and go up by 8 again. And that seemed like it was a dagger. That's usually the dagger that we cannot come back from. And we drive down the field. We get stalled. We settle for 3. So it's 35-31, and it's 30-35 at this point. And then, I know it sounds crazy, but he has matured this year, realizing he needs his legs. Yes, I've been harping last season and all this season. He needs to use his legs like he did, his first 3 years. Like he did at Mississippi State, he ran the ball all the time. When your quarterback is mobile and is big and strong, like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, even Patrick Mahomes, will scramble a lot. If you scramble as a quarterback and use your legs to get first downs and make plays, that adds another dimension to your offense, and the defense has to respect the quarterback's ability to escape the pocket and make big plays. And he is finally starting to do that. In a press conference after Seattle, he said that he acknowledged that he needed to start using his legs and do whatever he had to do to get the first down, to convert, to help the team win. Before that, like last season and the year before it, I know he was coming off a broken leg, probably didn't trust it like he did before he broke it, but it's like Dak wanted to be known as a prolific pocket passer, even if it was for instance, the playoff game at San Fran last season. After Pollard breaks his leg, had his injury, it's 2nd and 2. It's man coverage. Dak steps back to pass. There is like a 5-yard lane where he could just scramble up the middle, probably get inside the 5-yard line. But instead, he throws it to double coverage. What do you think about our run game? Do you miss? Hell yeah, I missed Zeke Elliott. We should have offered him $4 or $5 million to stay. I mean, he's in New England doing nothing. He's a Cowboy. He should have been a Cowboy for life. I mean, him and Tony Pollard were a great 1-2 punch. They were. Zeke would hit that defensive line, pound it, get 2 yards in a cloud of dust, but it would weaken that line to whenever Pollard got the ball, then he could make his explosive plays. Hell yeah, I miss Ezekiel Elliott. Rico Dowdle is the closest we got to a Zeke right now, but he is no Zeke. He's not doing that great in New England right now because they're just a horrible team. But I believe that him, if he'd came back for us this year wearing number 15 with a chip on his shoulder, and everybody doubting him, that he would have had a hell of a year running behind Zach Martin and Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith. I mean, I think that 1-2 punch would have still been effective this season. I hated seeing him leave. I did not think, even after we cut him, I thought we would re-sign him. I was shocked to see him go to New England. It was like seeing Emmy go to Arizona. It just doesn't fit. I would love right now for New England, since they're out of it, to just release Elliott. Hopefully nobody claim him off waivers and we can pick him up for the last stretch of the season. I would love that. But it's a whole brand new offense. He'd have to learn the terminology. But really what we need him for is just, up the gut. But I think Dak can keep up this type of play. He's made that jump, and I think in his next 4 games, he's going to show every critic that he is now in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. No, I don't think Ezekiel will be back. No, man. Cowboys had every opportunity in the world to bring him back, and they chose not to. This makes me sad. Because if by chance we make it to Vegas this year and do win it, say that happens, and you got Dak up there with Tyron and Zach Martin and Lamb, and they're holding that trophy, Zeke should be part of that, or should have been part of that, if that were to happen. I mean, hell, he carried this team on his back for 3 years. I mean, he's given his body for this team, and he still has gas in the tank left. He had a good year last year. People don't understand how much he brought to this team. And then number 3 is our defense falling apart. Our defense starts off hot, pitching a shutout week 1. We haven't done that in a while. We started 1995, week 1, 35-0 at the Giants. Against the Giants, we allowed, 17, and then Carolina 10, Washington 10, then 35 against Seattle. So our defense, is it actually is it the weak link of the team? Because coming into the season, it was the strong point of the team. Everybody was thinking we'll go as far as defense will take us. Now the offense, which Mike McCarthy looks like a genius now by basically firing Kellen Moore and putting the play calling into his own hands. Last year was contract, so he's going to do it his way. I think part of our own red zone problem is because we don't have Elliott to pound the ball. Exactly. Against Seattle, our opening drive, we get to the 2-yard line. It's 1st and goal at the 2, right? In that situation, we'd give it to Elliott behind Zach Martin or Tyler Smith. Because Tyler Smith he's not as strong as Larry Allen, but he's got that Larry Allen type strength. And I love him wearing 73 because he's a grown-ass man. I mean, he has got power. Yes, 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, and we can't get in the end zone and settle for a field goal. Right there, we'd have given it to Zeke 3 times in a row. He'd have gotten it on the 1st or 2nd try. He's still a missile 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Hell yeah, man. He would help our red zone woes so much. Now, the defense. The 3 winning teams that we've played, they allowed 42 against San Fran, 28 against Philly, 35 against Seattle. So they're averaging, allowing 35 points a game against winning teams. Now, the San Fran game, I give it, they were gassed. We didn't get our first down until, halfway through the 2nd quarter is when we got our first down. So that 42 points San Fran put up, I contribute that to being very tired when the time of possession was like 42 minutes to 18 minutes. If your defense is on the field over 42, 43 minutes, it's a lot of damn minutes, especially against a physical 49er offense. And then Dak throwing 3 interceptions that game, giving San Fran short fields. Okay, I can understand why they gave it 42 points. They're freaking exhausted in the second half. tired as hell, and then Dak. It was just a bad game. Then Dak throwing 3 picks, giving them short fields. So I kind of let that slide. Against Philly, we hold them to 14 in the first half, and then in the second half, they score 2 touchdowns to open up the third quarter. And then we shut them out in the fourth. In the fourth quarter, we shut them out. In the fourth quarter, we outgained them like 140 yards to 14. It was like neither team wanted to win the game. With how much time did we have? It was 16 seconds. With 43 seconds, no timeouts, we get the football at our own 15. And 17 game seconds come off the clock. 16. And we go from our 15-yard line to their 6. 43 seconds to start the drive. And with 27 seconds left, we're at their 6-yard line. That is 15-6. That's 79 yards within 16 game seconds. That is insane. The Eagles are trying to give us that game. Pass interference against Gallup. Then we make a play to Ferguson. On that play, roughing the passer, Son Reddick hitting Dak in the back. And then we hit CeeDee Lamb. And then another penalty, and then we're at the 6. Cash it in, man. But we didn't do that. And then against Seattle, Geno just threw a party. That is a hell of a receiving trio to stop. And that's why, to run the table, Buffalo and Miami are going to be hard to do that against. I think we can handle Jared Goff. I've never thought he was in a top quarterback, but Josh Allen can get hot, so can Tua. And they are the Cheetah and Cheetah Jr. and Jalen Waddle. The defense has to stiffen up down the stretch and in January if we want to have a chance. They can't be allowing 35 points. We have too many playmakers. Do you think they'll keep Gallup next year? Against Seattle, Michael Gallup's name wasn't called one time. They threw one ball to him, and that was it. After the Eagles game, when he had dropped that third down pass, they put him on the bench. He came back out and had a good game the rest of the game, made some good catches, and then played well the last 4 weeks. He hadn't dropped the ball since, and he's been making good plays. But he was just silent against Seattle. I think he still has a chance. It's in there. MG13 that we know is still in there. He just has to trust that knee mentally. He has a mental block. The knee is 100% healthy now. He can plant on it, cut on it, do everything he used to do. He just has to trust that knee. But Jalen Tolbert's starting to come up, starting to come on. And he's very similar to Gallup. He's an ex-receiver. Lines up on the outside. I forgot how many years his contract was. It was like 3 years, I think. $13 million a year. At $13 million a year, unless we can trade him, he'll probably be on the roster next year. But I would love to see Gallup get back into form at least by January. And Jake Ferguson, man, I'm telling everybody, this kid, he's in his second year. He is Travis Kelce Jr. Jake Ferguson is the next big tight end for our team. Before Novacek, we had a big tight end in the 70s, 80s. Then we had Novacek. Then we had Witten. The next big one is Jake Ferguson. He's Travis Kelce Jr. He's getting better by the game. Dak's trusting him more and more. And he's going to be a playmaker in the playoffs, man. I'm telling you, this kid, Jamal Adams, seasoned all-pro safety, man. Going back and forth, jaw-jacking with Jake Ferguson. And Jake don't back down. They say he's one of them crazy-type players. Crazy type like Charles Haley. Not probably to that extreme because Charles was like super crazy, but he's the kind of guy that you really don't want to mess with. And then I loved it whenever Dak, yes, he is a beast. Jake Ferguson is a beast. I loved it whenever Dak threw that game-winning touchdown pass to Ferg. Ferg caught it, and he got right in Adams' face, and was talking talking that shit. I love it, man. And he had a second hurdle in that game. Last season, he hurdled somebody. This year, you ever see the tight end hurdle somebody? We saw Zeke Elliott do it in his prime like 3 times. Ferguson's done it twice. He is a playmaker. And that's not even part of the list. But I think Dan Quinn smart enough to tighten up this defense down the stretch. We're not going to be allowing 35 points a game against good teams. We just need our front four to start getting home. Our pressure rate is still the best in the league. Our pressure rate is unprecedented, but we need to get to the quarterback, start getting sacks again. And we led the league in takeaways the last 2 years. We're 11th right now. We're tied for 11th. We need to start taking the ball way more. But Dan Quinn will get that figured out, and DeRon Bland just has to get back on pace and not become a liability like he was on 2 nights ago. Number 4, basically the title of this, the next 4 games will tell us if we're a Super Bowl team or not. The next 4 games will tell us if we are a team that can make it to Vegas or not. If we go 1-3 in the next 4 games, I'm not thinking so. If we split the next 4 games, 2-2, I'm not thinking so. If we go 3-1 in the next 4 games, I think there's a pretty good chance. If we run the table and beat Philly at home, go on the road, beat Buffalo, go on the road, beat Miami, and beat Detroit at home, then yeah, I think we are a Super Bowl contender for sure. I watched them the other night at Seattle games. They move toward the other side. What do you mean by that? I don't quite understand what what you were saying. Okay, I pull it back up. My wife's using the laptop, so I'm using the phone right now. So I'm trying to see what you're saying here. I watched them the other night at Seattle game. They moved Bland to the other side. Yeah, they I saw them put Gilmore on Metcalf because DK was eating his lunch. At 33 years old, Gilmore's still playing at a high level. I think he has at least another year left at a high level. At 33 years old, he's not playing off just physical attributes. He's playing off technique and, tricks of the trade. Still, a top corner in the league. Blessing to get him for what we got him for. We just need, Bland can I have another game like he did. Well, he was covered after DK burned him twice. Once for that 75-yard touchdown, and then once on that fade pattern down the sideline when Gino put it in the bucket. I saw them put 21 on 14. Just to try to stop the bleeding. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Gilmore. Yeah, they put Gilmore on DK late in the first half, and figured Blaine would have better success against Lockett or JSN, and he didn't because it just wasn't his night, I guess. Diggs has had bad games, in his second season, his 11 interception season, he had a few bad games. So DeRon Bland has grace. We'll let this slide. DeRon Bland has 8 picks. That's 3 shy of Diggs' 11 interceptions in his second season. So DeRon Bland's second year is so reminiscent to Diggs' second year. Except Diggs had 3 to the house. Bland has 5. It's really the only difference. At number 5, right now there's 4 free agents. 4 not just bums, but actual real guys out there that can help this team. One we all know, Darius Shaq Leonard. He went to Philadelphia, right? He came to our house on Tuesday, left without a contract. So we all assumed when he went to Philly how he was going to sign him. He went to Philly, left Philly without a contract. Word is he's leaning towards a star. God, could we use him or what? He could be the missing link to making this defense a championship defense. Losing Trayvon Diggs was a big blow, yes. Losing Van Der Esch for the season, big blow, yes. Because Leighton was a quarterback of the defense. He was, Mike linebacker, made sure everybody was where they need to be. Darius Leonard is the same type of player. And he played with Gilmore in Indy. Um, and he wants to get his stock back up. He's three-time All-Pro, drafted in 2018, the same year that LVE was drafted, the same year that the other good linebacker was drafted, but he was a second-round guy. Now, Darius Leonard didn't play last season because he had multiple back surgeries. So this year, he's lost a step, people think. And I think, going to the Cowboys will put him in the spotlight, because if he signs with us, that'll be all people talk about for a solid week. His name will be on the headlines for a solid week. And then he'll be in the limelight, because down the stretch right now, every game will be the biggest game of the week, just about, besides this week, San Fran and Philly. But after that, and if he helps his defense raise its play against better competition, and he rises his stock because all eyes will be on him, then he could resurrect his career and maybe get a bag from another team next season. Some people don't think he's a three-down linebacker anymore. They believe he's still a great run stopper, but he's not good in coverage like he was. He's not going to be covering tight ends. So first and second down, he'll be out there. Third down, no. Dan Quinn is very good at getting the best out of everybody. And with All-Pro like Leonard, who's in his 6th year, he's not super old. He's only 28 years old. You know what I mean? I think Darius Leonard could make this defense solidified. Basically, help neutralize the run game completely to where we can concentrate on the secondary. If we can stop the run game on a consistent basis, we'll be in excellent shape. I believe that. And the second one, y'all know the Raiders have an interim coach, Antonio Pierce, right? Marcus Peters, who's only 30 years old. I thought Marcus Peters was 34. It seems like KC drafted him a long, long time ago. But it was only 2015. That's when he was drafted. So Marcus Peters has it out with Antonio Pierce. He is a free agent right now. And I think Marcus Peters would be a good pickup also, because these 4 free agents right now would not cost you much. You think we need Darius Leonard or Marcus Peters? Because I know we need Leonard, because Darius Leonard would solidify stopping that run game. Him with Tank Lawrence on the defensive line, the best run-stopping defensive end in the league, with Hankins in the middle and Mozzie getting better every game, and then having Leonard back there, because Marquise Bell is playing good, but he's undersized. And when he, has a blocker coming at him, he can't really, get off the block that well like Leonard could. Or Bell is a rookie. He's a UDFA. He cannot read offenses as good as Darius Leonard. And right now the Colts are the one that's paying the bill. So he would sign for not a little bit more than a vet minimum. But we got plenty of cash to take him. Yes, Leonard, you're correct. We do need Leonard. I think Marcus Peters would not be a bad idea to bring him in for a cup of coffee, because our cornerback 4 is Nashawn Wright, and he cannot cover, and he can't even play special teams worth a damn. I mean, hell, Kevontae Turpin had his first, punt return for a touchdown in regular season, and number 25 on the opposite side of the field, just stupid, gets a flag, comes back. Nashawn Wright cannot play. He cannot. If one of our corners goes down for a game and Nashawn Wright has to step in for a game or two, that is tragic. Say Gilmore goes down. No. Just say Jordan Lewis goes down for a game, right? Just one game. So DeRon Bland will be moved back into the slot because he can play both. Then Nashawn Wright will be playing opposite Gilmore, and it will kill Deshaun Wright, like they did Bland against Seattle, except it'll be every game that he plays. I think Marcus Peters would be a good pickup for cornerback depth. We had cornerback depth when we had Diggs on the roster because Jordan Lewis was our cornerback number 4. Now that Diggs is down and we didn't trade for that corner from Chicago, Jalen Johnson would have been beautiful. That would have been beautiful to get Jalen Johnson. He's balling out this year. He plays on the outside. Bland could have moved back into the inside, and Jordan Lewis would have been corner number 4. That would have solidified the defense right there. We wouldn't have to worry about Bland getting torched by number 1 because we'd have Jalen Johnson. A second-round pick would have been worth it. 2 twos would have been worth it because the future is now, man. The Joneses, when they're looking at a trade or a deal, they're thinking 3 years down the road. They got to stop that. They got to start thinking now. The future is now. Hell with 3 years down. When 3 years down the road comes, handle that then. That's the way Philadelphia's thinking. That's why Howie Long is like the GM of the decade. and Philly is, they paid Jalen Hurts. They lost 5 starters on the defense from last year, but they're doing a good job at replenishing their roster through the draft and through free agency and trades. I mean, they got DeAndre Swift for a 3rd or 5th round pick, something like that. I mean, just steadily bringing in guys, not worried about the future because the future is now. They were at the Super Bowl last season. They want to get back and get it this year, and they want to get 2 rings under 2 different head coaches, 2 different quarterbacks. So I like to bring on Marcus Peters. I would, because that would give me comfort knowing that if one of our corners goes down, he is still he's not a 1 anymore like he was before, but he's a very good number 2 still. But Antonio Pierce, is who he is, and so him and Peters had it out, and they split ways. Derek Barnett was waived by Philadelphia, but he didn't clear waivers. The Texans did claim him off waivers. But this season, he's only had 3 tackles in the 8 games that he's played. And Philly just didn't need him. They've got, 3 young Georgia defensive linemen on that D-line with Hassan Reddick and whatnot. Number 4, Zach Ertz wanted out of Arizona, and he got his wish. He's a free agent. Still a good tight end. He's not elite anymore. He's not, he's not Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce. He's not at that level anymore, but he's still a good tight end. He's damn sure better than Schoonmaker, damn sure better than McEwen, and Arizona's paying the salary this season. So this is another guy you could get for about $1 million or $2 million easily. And that'd be old line and young line for our tight end group. Adding him in there. Adding Zach Ertz with Jake Ferguson would make our tight end room supreme, man. With Schoonmaker being tight end number 3. Or Hendershot. But it'd probably be Schoon because he's a 2nd round pick. High, investment in him. Hendershot, UDFA. Hendershot be tight end number 4 or on the practice squad. But Leonard, I really hope he comes here. And then Zach, get 1 for defense, 1 for offense. Get Darius Leonard to solidify our razor-thin linebacking core. He will solidify it. Even with his back surgeries, Darius Leonard right now is better than Leighton Vander Esch was to start the season. So that'd be an upgrade at linebacker. It would be an upgrade. And he could probably school Damone Clark on some things that LVE couldn't because Darius Leonard was just better than Leighton Vander Esch. Not in their rookie seasons, but 2019, 2020, 2021, Leonard was, 7 forced fumbles, 4 picks, 130 tackles. The guy was a monster. Probably might still be. And Zach Ertz would be a great tight end addition to this offense that's on fire already. We're number 1 in points per game. We passed up Miami. Everybody thought Kellen Moore was the reason why this offense was it was. And we all thought Mike McCarthy was nuts by having Kellen kick rocks and, sign with the Chargers, knowing that we were going to play the Chargers this season, and we thought that Herbert and that Kellen Moore offense would put up 50 on us. Chargers they've got 4 wins right now. Justin Herbert don't look like an MVP candidate. Mike McCarthy, I've criticized him since 2020, nothing really to criticize. Because Prescott broke his leg. We had Mike Nolan, that defensive coordinator, worst defense in franchise history almost. But in 2021 and last season, Mike McCarthy was scrutinized a lot. I scrutinized him all the time. It just seemed like he didn't do anything. It seemed like he was clueless. It seemed like he was just a fan, another fan, but on the sideline. Seemed like he never knew what time was on the clock. Clock management was horrible. Seems like he didn't know his offense. It was just like, what does he do? Now he's showing us what kind of coach he really is. He tells Kellen Moore to go. He's going to take over the play calling and install a different offense. This West Coast scheme, they call it Texas Coast, but it's 100% West Coast. It's not a mix. They were saying they're going to keep 30% of what Kellen had going on. No, all of Kellen plays are out. It's 100% West Coast offense. What they ran in Green Bay with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. And Mike McCarthy can call plays. He's showing us that now. This offense is better than it was in 2021. Even though in 2021, Dak had 37 touchdowns, franchise record, broke Romo's record of 36. He was 1 yard away from breaking Romo's passing record, almost 5,000 passing yards. We were the number 1 offense in 2021. Last season, we were the number 4 offense. This year, this offense is better. It's better. The run game isn't as good. And I believe that's because we don't have the Bulldog in the backfield, Zeke. He was the pounder. He would loosen up the defensive line. And his pass blocking, he was the best pass blocking running back in the NFL and still is. And like I told everybody, the first 12 games we played last season, or the first 13, he was averaging 4.2 yards a carry. And then he missed the Green Bay game. And then the last 2 or 3 games or whatnot, Terrence Steele was out. Tyron came and took his place. And that right side of the line wasn't as good as it was when Steele was playing last season, healthy. And so therefore run blocking wasn't as good. And, his average went down to 3.8. But for a banger back, for the power back to be averaging 4.2 yards a carry for 3/4 of the season is pretty damn good. And then you got the speed scat back, at number 2, Pollard, who got over 1,000 yards rushing last season on behalf of Elliott carrying the load with 230 carries. And then whenever Pollard would get the ball, it would be against a softened up defensive line, against a softened up front 7. Man, I would love for the Patriots just to release Elliott, him to clear waivers and us to pick him up, and him to pick up the offense like that, because he is a very smart individual. But Darius Leonard and Zach Ertz, I know the Cowboys are kicking the tires and looking at all these players, because all teams do. We don't have to give any draft picks for these guys, man. All we got to do is bring them in 1-year rentals. 1-year rentals. And Darius Leonard would pay off dividends big time, especially in January. And so would Zach Ertz. That would give Dak Prescott another blanket to go for. To have. Ferguson's becoming his security blanket. Then Zach Ertz. They developed just a little bit of chemistry. Going into January, we'd have 2 solid tight ends with 2 solid receivers, 1 and 2, with our receiver number 3 being Gallup / Tolbert / Turpin. They kind of rotate. Turpin's the X factor on the offense. And with this Tyrone Wednesdays that we're doing, he is back to dominant Tyron Smith. He looks like vintage Tyron Smith. And if we start doing this with him, not practicing them basically and then just having them do a walkthrough on Saturday, like practice on Friday and a walkthrough on Saturday, I think Tyron Smith can have another 1, 2, or 3 seasons left. Good seasons. Because right now he's playing dominant left tackle like he always has. I don't know if y'all remember watching the Philly game. Terrence Steele was a turnstile, but Tyron Smith, whether it was Josh Sweat who he just kept knocking down, or it was Brandon Graham or Hassan Reddick, Tyron wouldn't let anybody get by. Nobody was touching Dak's blind side. So if we keep up this Tyron Wednesdays and just don't let him practice, they finally got the idea to keep him in bubble wrap. He is such a professional. He knows what he's doing. Just let him know the game plan. Let him get a little warm up during the week. Walk through on Saturday. Put him in pads on Sunday. I think he could last another 1 to 3 years, which would be great. And Zach Martin is, 32, 33. Jason Kelsey's 38, still the best center in the league for Philly. I believe Zach Martin can play to that age and still be the best right guard in the league because he has no injury history. 2020 was the only season that he was injury plagued in. Other than that, he's been healthy. He missed one game this year, but he's been healthy throughout his whole career. Oh man, if we would have just taken Osiris Torrance with the second pick, he fell to us. He's playing very good in Buffalo right now at right guard. We probably could have. He might not have started this season, being that Tyler's at left guard and Tyron's at left tackle, but he would have been it wouldn't have been bad. It would have been a way better pick than Schoonmaker, that's for sure. But Schoon might turn out to be, hey, what's going on, Raymond? Thanks for jumping in. Schoonmaker might turn out to be a really good tight end also. He might just be a late bloomer. He's older than Ferguson, which is kind of funny. But he might be a late bloomer, you know what I mean? Maybe in year 2, year 3, he really turns it on, and then we have 2 really good young tight ends. But I believe this team is good enough to run the table and finish 14-3. That was a record I predicted before the season started. And if San Fran does beat Philly on Sunday, then our chance at the number 1 seed is still very, very much alive. But we have to take care of our business. And that's first beating them December 10th. And then the 4 opponents after that. Which 3 on the road, 1 at home to end the season after Philly. At Buffalo, at Miami, home against Detroit, at Washington. If week 18 we're locked into the 5 seed and we already know it, then we should treat week 18 as our bye week. No point playing the starters week 18 the whole game, knowing that you're locked into the 5 seed. Because if we're the 5 seed, we know that we're going to go into whoever wins the NFC South, blow the doors off them. Then who we draw in round 2 will be very tricky. Could be Detroit, could be San Fran, could be Philly. If the 6 or 7 seed upsets the 3rd or 2nd seed, like the Giants did Minnesota, that could shake things up. But if we are the 5 seed and we go into the playoffs as a 5 seed and handle our business in round 1, round 2, I would love to go to Philly in round 2. Because we are not intimidated by that team. We have owned them for a long time. And I believe we can beat them in their own house like we should have early November. Please subscribe, like, and share, guys. Thanks, everybody who tuned in for tuning in, guys. If you're watching this after the upload, please subscribe, like, and share. Every subscriber counts. We're brothers and sisters in the same cause, guys. I can't get to 500 without your help. I'm like 140 away, something like that. And after 500, I'm gonna hit 1,000, and then once I hit 1,000, skyrocket from there, guys. The show will grow and get better. It'll be on your A list, I guarantee you. I will be able to start getting, once I hit 500, I'll be able to start getting studio equipment, sound bites, a setup, a good setup, kind of like Law has, and a call-in line for live shows. So whenever I have live shows, I actually have people in it, like, a crowd in it. There'll be a call-in line so you can call in, agree with me, disagree with me, or agree to disagree, or just talk about what you think about the game coming up, off season, whatever. A phone line is critical. I love Law Nation's show. I love calling in. He's the one that inspired me to start my own channel. If I'd have known it was this easy to start your own show, I'd have done this 10 years ago. 10 years ago. But, I thought YouTube was like, you had to jump through a million hoops. But I'm late into the game, but I'm telling you, help me grow, and it will pay dividends back to you. It is a free investment on your part. Just hit that red subscribe button, guys. It costs you nothing, and you will not regret it. Put God first and foremost before everything, even this. Seek Him and His righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you. I am a living testimony of that. Living testimony of that. I have this new house in the Woodlands, which is like Pleasantville. My testimony will blow your socks off, guys. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend. The games tomorrow will be interesting to watch. And after tomorrow, we'll know a lot more. If San Fran can make it happen, everything's still alive. But if San Fran does not make it happen and they drop at Philly, then we are the 5 seed. Put that in stone. But if San Fran goes to Philly and handles business, then it is on. It is on. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Charles in Charge Cowboys Sports Report, but it's technically Cowboys Sports Report by Charles in Charge. That's how it's worded. But yeah, please hit that like button. Also helps get the video viewed more, guys. Catch you on the flip side. I catch y'all tomorrow after the games, really, to discuss Philly and San Fran and what we saw and thought from that game, and a few others that will be on tomorrow. There's about 3 or 4 really good games tomorrow, but we all know the big one that we'll all be having our eyes on. Y'all take care, guys. Have a good night and a great Sunday. Charles in Charge is out.